how's it going? Welcome to Randy's Video Game Shop. Good to see you. What can I do for you today? You looking for a new game to play? Cool. Yeah, there's quite a bit that we have for sale today. You probably saw on your way coming in that we're actually having a very big PC sale. Yeah, for this Steam, I personal choice really. I'm making a big push to really push PC gaming. I think it's a lot better than console gaming. No offense if you're a console player. Yeah, me too. I do dabble in both. You know, I have a PlayStation 4, but I also have a computer that is able to run all the latest games. It's not top of the line necessarily, you know, but it's got a pretty good graphics card. The CPU, I cut corners a little bit on the CPU to be fair, but it can run the latest games, so it's good enough for me. But I've been trying to push the, PC gaming more and more to more gamers so that they can see just how many more vast possibilities there are, like modding and things like that. But, I can show you, we have a couple of PlayStation 4 games on sale today that I can show you. And then if you still have some time, I can also show you our Steam collection. Yeah. So this is something interesting, right? Because it's a internal Steam library that I can give you access to. I'll walk you through it and I'll show you all of the Steam games that I have. And if you access my library, you can get it for 50% off compared to what its actual price is on the Steam store currently. So it's really cool. I'll walk you through some of the games and we can go from there. Cool. Awesome. So let me just show you some of the PlayStation 4 games we've got on sale today. I've got about 6 games I'm going to show you for the PlayStation 4. And then if none of these have catch your interest, then I can show you the Steam collection. Or I can do both, even if you like something here. Maybe you want to get a game for the PC as well. Sound good? Cool. Awesome. Well, first, I have to just talk about this game because I recently got it myself. And I've been having a lot of fun, and that is Dragon Ball Z Fighters. Dragon Ball Z Fighters. Yeah. So, this is Bandai's attempt, I think, to get into the competitive fighting space. It's their answer to Tekken and Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat. That's what this game is meant to be, but just in the Dragon Ball Z universe. So, basically, it's not like the previous games, the Tenkaichi series. It's going back more to the Budokai series. Except the animation is more, it's taking the animation and making it more the anime style from the anime versus the video game sort of graphics that you might be used to. You can kind of see over here, it kind of looks like that a little bit. But, there's a storyline, if you like that sort of thing, but where the game really shines is the combat. It's just a lot of fun. You can control all the characters from the Dragon Ball Z series, most of them, and they all have their own unique moveset, and the fighting is just very fast-paced, very action-packed. It's a lot of fun. It's good fun. Highly recommend it. We're selling this today for $20. So, in contrast, it's currently it was on sale on Steam a couple weeks ago for Christmas, but now it's back on full price on Steam. And then on the PlayStation store it's $59.99. So $20 is a massive steal. Keep in mind this is used, so if that doesn't bother you, it's worth the money, I think. And of course, there's online play too, so you'll be able to get all that competition and all that good stuff. The next game I would like to talk about is, I want to do this in order. I have a plan here, you see. Here we go. Kingdom Hearts 2.8 Final Chapter Prologue. So this is actually 2 games in one. So this comes with Kingdom Hearts Dream Drop Distance, which was a game for the 3DS. It also comes with Kingdom Hearts 0.2 Birth by Sleep. 0.2 Birth by Sleep is actually a continuation of the Birth by Sleep game, which follows Aqua. And it's very short. It takes maybe 6 hours to get through, so just be warned. Dream Drop Distance is the only full game that you're going to really be getting, but essentially you're getting 2 games in one. So it's not a bad deal, I think. Yeah. Personally, for me, Dream Drop Distance wasn't my favorite game, but if you're someone that you just really want to get all of the story of the Kingdom Hearts universe, then, you know, this is one of those pieces that's kind of important, actually. When you look at the 3rd game, you start to realize that, which I actually skipped this game halfway through because I got bored of it, but it is actually important. And, you know, to that point, another game we have, oh yeah, this is actually $15.99, so not bad, not a bad price. We've got Kingdom Hearts 3. This came out recently, as you know. This is the long-awaited 3rd installment in the main Kingdom Hearts franchise, main Kingdom Hearts series of games, 1, 2, and 3. The last one, Kingdom Hearts 2, came out in 2006. And before that, the first Kingdom Hearts game came out in 2002. So we have been waiting over 12 years for the 3rd game. And I won't give you any spoilers, but this game was definitely worth the wait. I do feel like the worlds were a little bit underwhelming. It felt kind of short compared to the 2nd and 1st games. The worlds weren't as impactful to me, but I think the overall story and the way it all ties together is good. It's worth the wait. I wouldn't say it's my favorite Kingdom Hearts game because of the underwhelming worlds, in my opinion, but it's definitely, you know, not a waste of money. And this is coming in at a hot $39.99. So this is one of our more expensive games, given the fact that it's a little bit older. Still much cheaper than, you know, getting it on the PlayStation Store, which is $59.99 full price. The whole purpose of my store is to give you guys more of a deal, obviously, so that's what I try to do. Then we have another classic that's making its return for $10.99. That's Bloodborne. Bloodborne is a spin-off of the Dark Souls series, as I'm sure you are familiar with. And it is a very difficult game, just like the Dark Souls series. Think of it as like a Sekiro, right? It's one of those challenging games. You know, it's an action RPG in sort of a medieval Gothic Europe, where you have to kill monsters. You hunt monsters. You create your own hunter. It's very open-ended in terms of the character customization. So you are really making them your own. So you can choose to be a warrior. You can choose to be more of a gunslinger. You have the creativity to sort of make them your own, which is cool. There is a storyline, although your character does not talk, so be wary of that. The combat's very difficult and it requires a lot of strategy, so if you like strategy, then this is going to be the game for you. Believe me, you're going to like it, and it can also be very frustrating too, so keep that in mind. That's Bloodborne. The next game we have is Red Dead Redemption 2. This came out a year ago, and so we are charging $39.99 for this game. And this is the sequel to the first Red Dead Redemption game, which came out in 2010. And this follows Arthur Morgan in the past. So it's actually technically a prequel. In 1890 something or 1860 something, I don't remember what year the game doesn't mention, but it's in the past, before the 1900s, shortly before the 1900s. But basically you are Arthur Morgan and you're riding with the Vanderlyn gang, you know, committing crime crimes, robbery, and there's drama and tension and all that type of stuff in a Wild West sort of environment. It's a lot of fun, and recently they released a bunch of expansion pack stuff for online, so they have a whole different, it's Rockstar, so they're going to really try to create more content for the online version, just like they did with Grand Theft Auto 5. So worth the investment if you like to play online. But it's just a good game, good story, good environment. It's very immersive. Personally, for me, it was one of those games, like once I finished, I didn't really play anymore, because these types of games are very story focused, I think. It's not like a Skyrim where, it's open-ended and you kind of just play for your character to build them. This is more of a story. You're really just playing because you're not necessarily concerned with making Arthur Morgan the best he can be. You're more concerned with just playing through his story. Games like this are exactly like that, I think. Okay, and the final PlayStation 4 game we have for you this evening is the Nonary games. I know this is a plot twist. So these are 2 games in one. By getting this, you will be getting 9 hours, 9 persons, 9 doors, and you'll also be getting Virtue's Last Reward. And we are selling this for $24.99 since it's 2 games in one. So if you don't already know, basically what this game is 9 people get kidnapped in both of these games. The stories are connected, and they have to solve a series of puzzles in order to escape the area they're kidnapped in. There's obviously a larger story and purpose behind everything, but basically the gameplay is you solve puzzles, and these puzzles can range from mild difficulty to very difficult as you progress through the game. So it's a very good game if you want to just exercise your brain and you enjoy puzzle solving and things like that. It's fully voice acted, so all the characters are speaking throughout, so you won't have to really worry too much about, like, are they, am I going to have to read a lot? So you don't have to worry too much about that. Or are they cutting corners is what I meant to say in terms of the voice acting. They're not doing that. So yeah, I can just read you a little bit of the synopsis because I'm sure you're not that familiar with this game compared to the others. So, 2 Nonary games, 2 sets of 9 unwilling participants kidnapped to an unfamiliar location. One set trapped on a sinking boat with 9 hours to escape, the other locked in a facility and forced to either trust or betray each other. If they break the rules or fail to escape, they will die. Why were they chosen to play the game? Who is this enigmatic Zero? Nothing is as it seems. They'll desperately fight for survival in this deadly game of life or death. And there is also a series of choices, I should say, that you can make that takes you on different paths. And you're basically going to have a web of alternate realities that you have to play through, and you will see different events unfold, and it's all sort of interconnected. So it's a really cool game. I highly recommend it. If nothing else, if you want to play something, I recommend this game because it's something different that you might not have played before. Spike Chunsoft is always making these kinds of games that are very thinky but enjoyable with a great story, great characters, and it's phenomenal, honestly. So yeah, so those are all the PlayStation 4 games I have on sale tonight. What else are you looking for? I mean, is there anything here that you're interested in that you want to take on today? Okay, yeah, definitely. Good choice. And I can have that wrapped up for you, no problem. And that is something that's also available on Steam if you were curious. But it's really a good game to play on the PlayStation because you have a big screen, and it's not something you really need to see like little details. Like, I would recommend playing Red Dead Redemption honestly on PC because everything's kind of small and you can kind of see more details that way when you're up close. A game like the Nonary games, you can play it on your computer. It's on your PlayStation. It's fine on a big screen and things like that. Yeah, cool. Well, if you're cool with it, I'd love to show you the Steam library. It'd be really cool to show you my collection and just run you through some of the games that I recommend you play. Awesome, great. So I'll just walk on over here, pull up a seat, and I'll show you the goods. There's a lot to look at, so I'll try to speed run through some of the games that I don't recommend and, you know, mix and match what I think is good value for your time and money. All right, cool. Come on over. This is my Steam store, and I can give you access to it privately, and you'll be able to really get these games much cheaper than you would otherwise. And so, as you can see, I've got a lot of games here. I'm going to really show you the ones I think that would be the most bang for your buck, the best use of your time, and that type of thing. You know, if there's anything you want to see, feel free to shout it out, but I'm really going to show you my favorite games that I highly recommend. So, obviously, the first game I want to talk about, and you can see I've recently played these, is The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. So this game, if you haven't already heard of it, is about a monster hunter, basically. He's called a Witcher, and he has to go around I think it's around the 1200s, so a very old world environment, killing monsters while he's searching for his daughter, who is her right there. And Witchers are basically humans that have gone through mutations. So basically the story of this world is that humans have messed around with magic, and that has led to a lot of monsters being born of this magic. And so you've got Witchers that go around and will help towns with monster problems for some coin, basically. But this game is great because it's very story driven, but it's also an open world game. So you don't have the flexibility of really creating your own character. You are basically playing as Geralt, but you get to control how he responds to certain questions and how he acts in certain situations. Another really cool thing is also that there's a ton of side quests, and they're all pretty interesting. It's not one of those games with throwaway side quests. Everything is interesting. The way the story is told, it's very immersive. So, for example, you walk into a room because you're looking for an amulet. When you walk into the room, there's a little cutscene that plays, and he looks around the room, makes a comment. He finds the amulet, he picks it up, looks at it, cutscene plays, makes a comment. So all of these things are done in a way where they try to make you immersed in the game and the story, which I think a lot of games can learn from. So The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, we are selling it for $29.99. It is absolutely worth your money. I can't recommend it enough. So, moving on here, another game that I can honestly say is one of the best of all time is Skyrim. They recently released a special edition, and so we're selling this for $29.99 as well. And as you probably are aware, Skyrim is an open world role-playing game, an RPG, where you get to create a character that becomes the Dragonborn. And so you interact in this open world, interacting with the different characters, the different missions, and really just build your character as you want them to be. What's really cool about this game is that there is a main story, and there are a bunch of different, storylines you can embark on, but you don't have to do them. You can totally just be whatever you want in this game. If you want to be a necromancer who summons, dead monsters to attack villages, you can do that. If you want to be someone that just robs, steals, and kills, you could do that. If you want to be a mage, a warrior, a mercenary, whatever you want, you really can do that. You can role play that. You don't have to do the main storyline. In fact, one of the things that people really like about Skyrim is that it's heavily moddable. So you can download a ton of mods that will really help with your immersion in the game. For example, when you start this game, you are thrown into the main story. There is a mod that will start you with another life. So you can start off as a merchant, for example. And so there's tons of mods like that that really just add to the game. Weapon mods, armor mods, things like that. And aside from that, the main story is good. It's fun, you know. You have the ability to kind of just play it as at your own pace. And the game is great because it just has an open world that's very immersive and beautiful, and it's just fun to explore. So Skyrim and The Witcher 3, those are the two top games I would recommend you download from my store. And the thing is, you might say, what's the difference between The Witcher and Skyrim? They are two different games, honestly. It really depends on what you want. If you want a story-driven narrative that's very, very good, very immersive, go for The Witcher. If you want a story, but you also want the ability to roleplay and live in your own sort of world, how you see fit, basically, Skyrim is the game to get, 100%. So another game that I recommend is Path of Exile. This actually is free, so you don't have to pay me anything, although if you buy it from my store for $5.99, you will get a few skins for your character. So the thing about Path of Exile, since it's free, your character looks homeless most of the time, and if you want to look cool, you have to buy skins from the store, which can be, you know, 20 to 30 bucks. So this is a really good deal in that sense. So if you want to buy the game for $5.99, you'll get a couple of skins for your character to look cool. Path of Exile is kind of like Diablo. It is an action RPG that, actually, you know what? Let me click into it and I can show you some screenshots. That might be cool to do, which I should have done for the other games, but let's see here. Path of Exile is an open action RPG where you basically kill hordes of monsters. You kill hordes of monsters, and there really isn't too much to show you, but yeah, I don't need to really look at this. I thought there would be something more. You can see there's a little cutscene here, but it's not really going to show you much of the gameplay. But it's a hack and slash action RPG where you kill hordes of monsters with your character. You know, you've got a bunch of different classes to choose from. You've got the barbarian, you've got the witch, you've got the Templar, you've got a duelist, and all of these give you the ability to sort of play your character differently. So you really can play in a number of different ways, right? If you want the warrior archetype, you can choose barbarian. But then within that, you can actually customize your barbarian. Actually, they're called marauders, excuse me. You can customize your marauder to really play in a different way depending on the build that you have, because you get something called a skill gem. And these skill gems have abilities. And so you slot them into your weapons and they give you different abilities, and that can change your entire rotation. There's also a large diagram where you upgrade your attributes, and depending on which attributes you're upgrading will change your playstyle dramatically. So you might put a lot of points into strength, increasing how hard you hit, or you might put a lot of points into life, increasing how tanky you are, how much damage you can take. So it does give you the freedom of customization and build freedom, really. And it's just fun to plow through hordes of monsters, really. Another game that I highly recommend is probably the best MMORPG, in my opinion. So I've showed you two single-player RPGs and an action RPG. Final Fantasy Online, Final Fantasy XIV Online, is a massive multiplayer online role-playing game in the Final Fantasy universe. And this is, in my opinion, the best MMORPG that exists, because you have so much to do and there's a very good story. You can play all of the jobs, aka classes, on one character. All you need to do is change your weapon and your class will change. So you don't have to make a ton of alts. And all of the classes are very unique and play differently from one another. The one downside being, of course, is that there is no build flexibility. So every Dragoon plays the same, Every warrior plays the same. Every mage, dark mage is going to play the same. Black mage, as they're called in the game. So there's not a lot of build flexibility. Although, because of that, the classes play very distinctly, and the way they play is a lot of fun too. I will also say that there have been complaints of slower cooldowns, because the cooldowns are about 2.5 seconds, so they're a little bit longer than what you might be used to if you've ever played like a World of Warcraft. But if you can get past that, it's very flashy. The animations look great, and the dungeons and the raids are phenomenal. You also have something called trials, which are essentially single-player raids, where you fight one raid boss, and then you can dip out, dip in and dip out. So it doesn't take up a lot of your time. You can be in and out and have yourself a little bit of fun if you're strapped for time. And there's also something called, I forget the name of it, but they're basically, you run through levels with a team of 3 to 4 people, I believe. I think it's called Palace of the Dead, if I'm remembering correctly. And it's an endless dungeon thing where you go from one level to another, and you save your progress when you're done. But that's some good side content there. It also has a phenomenal crafting system, where they treat the crafting system as seriously as they do the fighting system, right? So if you're a blacksmith, you're going to have to level that blacksmith up to level 80 just like you would a warrior. And the crafting is very in-depth. It's very interesting, and you can actually create some really good pieces of gear, potions, etc. Not to mention it's very profitable. So if you go to the auction house, the economy is very good in this game. You can sell ores and make a good chunk of gold, or gil as it's called in this game. And another thing is that the gil can be used for a lot of different things, such as buying houses. You can buy a house in this game, or an apartment if you are not able to get a plot of land. I can go on, but this is a phenomenal game. I'm selling this with all of its expansions for $49.99, $10 cheaper than what you would get on the regular Steam store. Keep in mind, this is the base game and all of the expansions, including the most recent one, Shadowbringers. So you're going to get a lot of content. It's honestly, depending on how much time you have, it's going to really take you 6 months or more to get through the entire story. So that's the one caveat I have for you. But as you can see, I've put in 350 hours into the game, and I'm still not finished with the main story quest, because I honestly keep getting sidetracked by content. So there's a lot of things to do on the side, like crafting, for example. So, which, by the way, all the crafting classes have their own storyline too, and all the fighting classes too. They have their own storyline that you can go through. The next game that I highly recommend is also the Elder Scrolls Online, which is another MMORPG. If you're not a fan of the more anime aesthetic, the Elder Scrolls Online is a good alternative in an MMO sort of atmosphere. It's like Skyrim, but it's an open world MMO, where you are in a much larger world compared to Skyrim. You are in all of Tamriel compared to just, Skyrim in the Nord area. Just like a typical MMO, you can create your own race, whether you want to be a Nord, whether you want to be a Dark Elf, an Imperial, a Breton, etc. You've got 3 factions to choose from. There's dungeons, there's trials. But really where this game shines is its storytelling and exploration. So it's fully voice acted, so all the characters are voice acted. There is not a lot of reading that you have to do unless you want to. And it really gets you immersed in the story. On top of that, you have complete build flexibility, so you can build your character how you want, just like in Skyrim. Although, of course, there is meta, so you will be expected to play a certain way for group content. But, you can be a Dragon Knight and play with a staff or a sword. You can slot different abilities, so you can use abilities that you get with your class, but there's also weapon abilities, and there's also abilities you get from guilds, like the Fighters Guild, or the Mages Guild, or the Thieves Guild, etc. And in addition to that, there's also open world content like world bosses. You can get treasure maps to find treasure. You can get, there's something called delves, which are basically single player dungeons, which you can explore, which is not necessarily challenging, but it's got good exploration. And if you want some single player content that's challenging, they have something called Maelstrom Arenas, which are basically single player raids, which you have to go through. It's like 8 or 9 rounds where you fight enemy bosses and their hordes of peons, basically, with mechanics, and it's very challenging. And that comes in 2 variations. You've got normal and you've got veteran, and that will reward you with certain types of gear that might be beneficial for your build. Additionally, of course, there is a level cap of 50, and you get over 700 champions points after that. So you're always building your character, making them stronger. They have a skill tree, very much, or a attribute tree, rather, like Skyrim, where you put points into different things to make your character a lot stronger. There's a lot that goes into this game. Highly recommended. This is being sold. I'm selling this to you today for $24.99, and that includes all the expansions. Additionally, of course, if you want some of the add-on content, which is not including the expansions, there is a monthly subscription you can purchase, which will unlock that content for you. So, let's see what else. I'm going to skip some of these that I've played. As you can see, they're not particularly games I recommend. Albion Online is a new MMO that I've tried. I don't really have much on it yet because I haven't played too much, so I can't really recommend it necessarily that you purchase. We have got Monster Hunter World. So Monster Hunter World is a action RPG where basically it's kind of like a more colorful version of Bloodborne, where you're going around and you're killing monsters, and you're, just exploring. And really where the game shines is its gameplay mechanics, right? It's just fun to kill hordes of monsters in a really fun and brutal fashion, honestly. I haven't played this game too much, but from what I've seen so far, it is very, very entertaining. And the weapons look awesome, as you can see. And there's an online component if you're interested in that. But, it's not necessary. But you could do it. Think of it as it's almost like you're playing a first-person shooter, but instead of first-person, it's third-person, and you're using weapons instead of guns. You're using katanas, you're using swords, guns, things like that. And you can see some of the gameplay here if you're interested in that. This is what it looks like. Looks really good. We're selling this today for $10.99, so it's a really good sale. There is actually an expansion coming out, Iceborne, that you can pre-order as well. But since it's not available, I can't offer it for you. And I apologize for not showing you gameplay of the other games. I probably should have, honestly, but I think you've heard of The Witcher and Skyrim and Final Fantasy and Elder Scrolls, so it should be fine. If you want to see some gameplay of Path of Exile, we can check that out really quick. But I think it's also cool to kind of just be, surprised. So this is what this looks like, gameplay for Path of Exile. There is so much more to it than this, but it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun. Think of it as Diablo. So that's that there. Let's see if there's anything else I want to recommend to you tonight that I think you should get. Yes, Stardew Valley. Now this is going to be quite different from the other games we've talked about. Stardew Valley is basically just a very chill, very relaxing game where you inherit your grandfather's farm and you move into a local community and you build up your farm while helping the community. you grow crops, you take care of animals, make your farm larger, and you complete quests for the NPCs in town. It's a very relaxing game if you want something that's fun, but also very chill, not too thinky. It's definitely the game for you. It's not going to be very taxing on you mentally. It's good to play at the end of a very long day where you kind of just want to, play something that's easy, that's not exhausting mentally. It's very therapeutic as well. I definitely don't play this as much as I should, but it's a good stress relief, I think. So, phenomenal game, highly recommended. And as you can see from here, it's just fun to kind of fantasize about having your own farm and living in a peaceful little community where everyone's kind of tight-knit. So it's nice, especially if you live in a big city and you don't typically have this kind of environment, that you partake in, so to speak. So, yeah. So that's Stardew Valley. There's a couple of honorable mentions maybe I can think of here that I can look to. There's Destiny 2, which is a first-person shooting game, but instead of fighting other players, you are fighting monsters. So it's a player versus environment, really. Some people even called it an MMO, but I wouldn't necessarily say it's an RPG. But it's online and you are playing with other players, but it's not a typical, MMO. More of a first-person combat action game, but you play with other people. So, as you can see from this trailer, they're not really giving you a lot of actual gameplay, which is one of my biggest problems with this. But we are offering this game for $9.99. So, really good deal. There you go. Here's some gameplay for you. It's a lot of fun. Another one of those games that's good to play if you really just don't want to think too much. You don't want anything thinky, anything that takes too much time, that stresses you out. And that's definitely a game that you could potentially look into. And one more game I think that you would find some interest in is Wolfenstein. Wolfenstein. Which one is the first one? I don't know which one's the first one, actually. I think it's this one. Regardless of what it is, that's not actually my birthday, by the way. It's a fake birthday. Wolfenstein is a first-person story game, first-person shooter. That's a story game, story-driven game where you are playing as an American soldier in the 1960s, and basically Nazi Germany has won World War II because they've developed some sort of technology. It's an alternate universe, and you are meant to, overthrow the Nazi regime. So it's a very interesting story. I have not finished it because I don't have time, but it's made by Bethesda, who's also responsible for games like Skyrim, games like Fallout, and things like that. So it's definitely something that's worth your attention. That's the last game I can recommend to you that I think you would enjoy. Obviously, you see I have a lot of games available. So if there's anything you're interested in, you can try. You can even try YouTuber's Life. As you can see, I share my account with my family, so there are games here that I don't play myself, that I have never purchased. But if you would like YouTuber's Life, that's also an option. Or maybe Life is Strange, or House Flipper, or Kitty Powers Matchmaker, I am not one to judge. Or My Time at Portia, which is kind of like Stardew Valley, but it's 3D and it's an open world sort of game. And this is actually a pretty good one, and we're selling this for $29.99. This is another one of those games that's very relaxing, very chill, It's like Stardew Valley, but there's more of an emphasis on crafting versus farming. And I think this is a good game to really end things off tonight. What do you think so far? Are you interested in any of these games that I've mentioned? Yes, yes. Skyrim, absolutely. I recommend Skyrim and The Witcher and My Time at Portia. Okay, great. Great choices. Great choices. The Witcher 3 is definitely the most stressful game of the three. There's a lot of weird stuff in that game. Skyrim is chill. It's chill, but there is combat and all that stuff. But My Time at Portia is a good third game to get to balance those two out and get you really, just to relieve all the extra stress that you have and to just chill with. Perfect. Awesome. So, really glad you stopped by tonight. I know it's late, but sometimes you got to get your gaming on, So I will wrap up those PlayStation 4 games for you in the back, and I'll also give you a code that you can utilize on Steam to tap into my private store so you can purchase these games. I'll give you a code for each of them, My Time at Portia for Skyrim, as well as The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. And then you'll be able to just jump right into it and enjoy. I really, really feel good about this, and I think you're going to enjoy all of these games. They all offer something very distinct and very different. So, awesome. Awesome. Great. I'm really glad you came tonight. Great. I'll get those games for you, and you'll be on your way.